because my trusted colleague, Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum, said I should do a Zoom call with a member of the Aetos imaging team, because we are already using Matterport, but we're having challenges. And Dan thought, since Aetos Imaging is a Matterport partner, that it's kind of like 1 + 1 = 100. So I'm really curious to find out about this, Connor. So my 4 things that I was talking to Dan about that I needed help with: visual equipment database, training and simulations, onboarding, and collaboration within a Matterport tour. So as I mentioned, we're already creating Matterport tours of our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing spaces, our chillers, coolers, sinks, sensors, all our spaces. And we thought by doing these Matterport digital twins of our spaces that it would enable us to do a lot of improvements to save money, save time. But as soon as we find, for example, for visual equipment database, we thought we could just do matter tags for every piece of equipment, that would be a great way to create a visual database of everything in our spaces. But we're finding it's just too clunky doing these matter tags, and they just don't seem to. Anyway, that's kind of the problem. Do you have some questions for me, or is that enough to tell me about visual equipment database of how Aetos Imaging plus Matterport can help us?
Bob, thanks for the introduction there, and thank you for clarifying some of the things that you're looking for and what you wished you would have gotten out of Matterport. Quite frankly, that's exactly how we started our journey as a company. Is we started providing Matterport services to our commercial buildings operations clients. And there are all these sets of problems that they wished that they could solve with Matterport. They kind of hoped they could solve, similar to what you're talking about. And it really just is not optimized for commercial real estate operations, training, etc. So that's really when we got to work. And we decided that, rather than waiting for either Matterport to provide bespoke solutions to this or another third party, said, we have all the expertise on operations and buildings and facilities management. Well, let's go ahead and build the software solution that solves some of these problems that are being faced in the overall operations space of building. So kind of to address your first point, let's kind of dissect what is the issue really. Are you running into problems where you're unable to really filter or sort or manage large volumes? You said 100 buildings. That means you've got probably 1,000 scans, right? And across those 1,000 scans, you've got an infinite, well, not infinite, but a very large number of equipment, components, systems, etc., that are compromised in those spaces. Is that generally correct?
Yeah, I would say, Connor, that we're using our content management system, our facilities management platform, Angus Anywhere. We can locate stuff, but we actually need to see it. And when we know that we need to look at this particular chiller and it's in this particular building, we're finding that we're okay, where is that Matterport scan? Right. And now we're mousing in to go find that particular chiller. Right. And it really turns out to be a bit overwhelming every time we want to kind of query the visual database to go see what it is that we need to look at.
Exactly. And that's one of the first things that we went out to solve. And we've solved this by creating our own tagging structure that persists across organizations set by your permission structure. So you can then assign what level of employee a building manager maybe only has access to their own building's worth of data. Maybe a portfolio manager has access to the whole portfolio's worth of data. And then you can really, the tagging system that we've created allows you to do all those things. You can now filter by chiller and see all your chillers across 100 buildings, immediately view that and access that. You can connect that to your existing data. You mentioned that you're using Angus Anywhere as your work order management software. Whether you're using that, FM360, Building Engines, really any CMMS that has an open API, we're able to pull that data directly into our tagging software and our tagging feature. And then we roll that data up to what we call the equipment page. And you're able to query, sort, filter all of that equipment data across any number of organizations or any number of facilities and across any number of equipment types. So, we really made the management of that data way more intuitive, way more accessible, and it really built the whole software platform around commercial operations. Whereas I think the original intent of Matterport was to really dive into real estate marketing and virtual tours. It's very, very good at that. It really hasn't been perfected for operations, and that's where we are exclusively focused.
Well, that's where we're kind of stuck. We do have